What's up, everyone? Welcome to the place where we combine our love for beer and photography. Every week, I'm going to be rolling into a beer store to look for a can or a bottle that looks or sounds super interesting. Then I'm going to walk you through the process of coming up with some ideas for shots, shooting them, styling them, editing them, all the way to that finished product. So stick around and see what's on tap with this week's choice, Sour Me by Duclaw Brewing. This is Hopped Up Shots. All right, Sour Me by Duclaw Brewing. All right, the first thing I thought when I saw this was candy. So I'm thinking, this says watermelon cherry. I like the can. I like the swirls on it. So I think we're going to do two different things here, like we do with everything. But my two ideas are, one, we do a light painting. So for those of you who don't know what light painting is, it's where we use a little bit more of a long exposure, and we're going to use some colored LED lights to kind of make some streaks and stuff. So we're going to keep this shot somewhat basic as far as what we're doing with the can. We're going to just set that on a table with a black background. And then what we're going to do is I have two small handheld LED lights. I think what we'll do is we'll take them, get this room completely dark. We will set the exposure time for like 2 seconds, so that shutter is just going to stay open. And then we're going to take those lights, we'll match it to this green and this red. And I think we're just going to swirl some designs behind the can. We'll try a couple different things and see what we can come up with. Light painting's pretty fun, so I think that'll come up with some cool designs, and we'll see which one's our favorite. And then the second one, it's watermelon cherry. To me, just the look of the can screams watermelon. So I think what we'll do is take the can and set it on a glass tabletop. And we're going to shoot this from underneath. So we'll come up this way, shooting. And I think all over the table, we'll get some of those little watermelon candies, kind of spread them out throughout the table so that as you're looking up, we're looking up at this can in this kind of hero shot type of moment. And it's got all the little pieces of candy that we're also going to see up through the glass. So I think that'll look pretty cool. So let's go get our supplies and get started with the shoot.
So setting up for this shot comes with a couple small challenges, but nothing crazy. The first is to make sure that the room is completely dark. So we want to try to get just the light painting because that's going to be bright enough for that long exposure that we're doing. But in doing so, we need to make sure that we still have the can lit with the logo and the branding. And then it's just a matter of going back and forth and checking the photos because we're not going to use an external monitor, which would be too bright. For the underneath shot with the candy, this was a little different. As you can see, we just moved, so I'm in kind of our unfinished room, which has a lot of space, which is made for a great photography studio space. But getting this set up, this is just a simple pane of glass, and then this is all just about the positioning. The way we shoot this, we're going up from underneath. We're going to shoot towards that black background, and with a fairly shallow depth of field, it's going to come off just dark in that background, and then it's just getting dirty a little bit. So now we're back in studio here, and I already saved you the trouble of sorting through the photos and chose the ones that I thought came out the best. For the light painting, I had two, but I decided to go with this one, mainly because I liked the shape of it. So I liked the kind of S, which kind of went along with the, the sour idea, even though it's a little backwards here. I just like the shape. So in editing it, the first thing I do is I always kind of crop into the image I want. With light painting, it's difficult to fully know what you're going to end up with. So I didn't have a predisposition in the beginning, so I went with kind of this custom crop just to fit in the whole background. And then from there, we really want to make this can pop, so we're going to brighten up the exposure on the can. We're going to add some contrast, some saturation. We're going to darken the background just a little bit. So, it's naturally bright back there, but we really want this can standing out more than we do the background. So we're going to just kind of blur everything, make sure that can is what your eye is drawn to from the very beginning. Just kind of toy around with a few things. You'll always notice I play with my sliders a little bit because sometimes we end up with an unexpected result, and it works out well. We add a nice little S curve here, just makes it a little bit more dramatic. Get the colors just where we want them, really popping off that screen. And overall, this photo, what we try to do is make sure that it comes out of camera as close to what we want as possible. We don't want it to look fake. We could have done something similar just in Photoshop, but I like doing it in camera. So we've got the before, the after, and I'm really happy with the way that came out. So now let's move on to the photo with the candy from underneath. So you can see the result here. So same thing, we're going to crop into kind of the look we want, get that can standing out a little bit more, start with the S curve, make our lens adjustments, and then as much as possible we try to do the localized adjustments. So we focus just on the can, really making that pop through everything. Lightroom has gotten super powerful recently, so it's easy to just pick the color range or luminosity range, and we picked all of those candies all at once, so we didn't have to go through and select each one. And we're just going to really make them pop and stand out too. Remove some shadows, increase the colors, make them brighten a little bit. So you can see when we mess with the exposure, you can get a little bit too much in that background there. So we're going to keep that nice and dark. Try to get these colors popping just a little bit more, make it look nice and bright. And there's our hero shot.
All right, that was a lot of fun coming up with those shots for Sour Me. I hope you liked what you saw. Remember to stop on by for Thirsty Thursday, where we're going to do a review of Sour Me by Duclaw Brewing. I'd love to hear what you guys liked best on this episode, so leave it in the comments. And as always, remember to drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time on Hopped Up Shots.